As you guys can see here from the tweet from the FTC, Genshin Impact game developer will be banned from selling loot boxes to teens under 16 without parental consent. And Hoyoverse, aka Cognisphere, have agreed to the 20 million settlement. And then the FTC followed up with game developer Cognisphere, aka Hoyoverse, allegedly unfairly marketed loot boxes to children and obscured real costs and misled all players about the odds of obtaining the prizes. And this is a pretty big deal because this could potentially change to a degree. I don't expect big changes, but I do expect some changes when it comes to how Genshin Impact and potentially other Hoyoverse games are handled in the US due to this settlement with the FTC. Which is jumping into Tectone's whole response to this, because he lays out a lot of data about how Hoyoverse has handled Genshin Impact when it comes to the marketing side of things to just the average consumer, more or less. Which is, for me, I'm treating this very, very similarly to my take on Mr. Pokey's whole power creep thing. What do I mean by that? Well, when it came to Mr. Pokey's take on power creep, if you guys watched my video on that, I basically said that yes, there are things players can do to mitigate power creep, but at the end of the day, the problem was created and abused by the developers, Hoyoverse. With that being said, let me translate that into the current discussion point, which is there are children that are obviously, based on what we've seen by the FTC in the settlement, there are children spending money on these games that are less than 16 years old. And obviously, how does a 16-year-old get money? They probably take it from their parents. Are there things that parents can do to make sure their children don't get a hold of their cards or money or whatever? Yes, I agree. There are things definitely parents can do to stop that from happening, or at least make it less likely that it will happen. I agree, 100%. But the thing is that still does not excuse the problem at hand. Is Hoyoverse, and in this case the Genshin Impact dev team, implementing methods that can be predatory to kids under 16 years old? I mean, based on the settlement, it looks like that's the case. So basically the way I see it is that yes, parents can do better probably when it comes to making sure their kids don't get a hold of their money. I agree 100%. But again, it doesn't stop or help the fact that there is a company pretty much creating this problem or abusing this problem. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into Tectone's video and go ahead and see what's going on when it comes to the community's pretty much reaction to all this stuff that's going on with the FTC and Genshin Impact and Hoyoverse overall.
Loot box Genshin Impact drama. The amount of dumbass takes I see online over this is truly shocking. Video and stream soon. Man, people self-reported so fucking hard, it's insane. So, Doro puts out a fucking tweet. And he says, and I quote, not to defend a multi-billion-dollar company, but aren't the gacha mechanics explained in-game?
Nope.
If you're allowing your kids to spend your money...
We're talking about kids, and this is the FTC's point. We're talking about kids under the age of 16 years old playing the game. Kids under the age of 16 are not going to pay attention to that shit. They are not going to read the details. When you pull up the Wish banner, there's the view details on the bottom left corner. They're not going to press that. They're not going to read all of that info that's explaining how the Wish mechanics work. They're not. And you could say, hey, what about the parents? We'll get to that later. Don't worry.
In a gacha game, that's just bad parenting. I'm not sorry. This tweet, I shit you not, is sitting at 22,000 likes. And in case you're currently on his side, please take a moment to watch this video fully before you leave your comment. Because the things that I'm going to show you is why you do not defend multi-billion-dollar companies. When other government structures crack down on corporate greed, it is usually always a good thing and for a necessity. Now, we are going to talk exactly why that necessity is. So a lot of people were parroting Doro's stance. And you want to know why they were parroting Doro's stance? Because it got a whole bunch of likes. Well, guess what, guys? Just because it has a bunch of likes on Twitter doesn't mean that it's the fucking truth. So,
yeah, it just could mean potentially that there are just a lot of stupid people.
Let me show you what Genshin Impact's download looks like. Okay, we're going to blame the parents for this. Now, once again, I would like to say there is a time and place to blame the parents. 100%. Case in point, when I was in high school, a game that everybody that my peers were playing that they should not have been playing was Grand Theft Auto 5. So many parents got this for their kids. They said, oh, I didn't know. How was I supposed to know? Well, it says quite clearly on the fucking back of the box, intense violence, blood and gore, nudity, mature humor, strong language, strong sexual content, use of drugs and alcohol, and you can't buy that game without showing your fucking driver's license.
All right, so that actually gets me to a story back in the day, because I am just a little bit older than Tectone. GTA San Andreas, a game that came out in October 26, 2004. I remember when this game came out. I remember it basically being talked about everywhere I went. All my friends, all these people that I didn't even consider my friends, were talking about this game. And what pretty much came up afterwards was all of these people that I knew, their parents, and even my parents, were talking about, holy shit, we had no clue what was going on in this game, because all they heard was, oh, this game is popular. And to Tectone's point, that is on the parents, because they did not look at the rating. Like Tectone just said, intense violence, blood and gore, sexual content, strong language, and use of drugs. We definitely need to pay more attention to not just what this tag says, but also what makes this game fall under this tag. And that's why parents, normie parents, all they look at realistically is this tag right here. I remember this clearly back in the day. If your parents aren't looking at this tag, which is all like this right here, the ESRB rating is realistically all that a parent should look at, because this is what basically has been encouraged by the government and the ESRB for parents to look at when they're getting their kids a game, is this rating. There's a reason that they made this rating similar to how movies are rated, because it is basically the, hey, do you meet the mature requirement to play this game? Okay, cool. When you go see a movie, hey, are you an adult? This movie's rated R. If you're 18 or over, you can go in here and watch this movie. There's an example from 2004 of what I saw that really, in my opinion, opened up parents to how they should go about buying video games for their kids.
That is the parents' fault 1,000,000%.
I agree.
It's marked as M for mature. So parents should expect a game that has jarring things in it to be taking place. Now, let me take you to Genshin Impact's downloaded. 3.3, man, that's fucking brutal. 100 million downloads, T for teen. Okay, so my kids can play it. T for teens around what? 13 and up, pretty damn good. No problems. It has some cool, wacky trailers. Look at all this gameplay. Look at all that. Man, this looks so cool. The characters are pretty clothed. You know, nothing too egregious going on. Just exploring, having fun, fighting bosses, and pretty not revealing characters. The character they got here is Yai Miko, who obviously we know is sucking and fucking off screen, but in the game, she's pretty reserved. Seems fine. You can just go get the new characters. Ooh, look at that. New events, new gameplay, new stories, new weapons, new outfits, events and offers. Look at that. Man, pretty bad reviews, but it is what it is. But if you look right here, there's a little thing here that says in-app purchases. It does say it has in-app. Maybe you missed that. Maybe you missed that little thing right there. Little thing right there that says in-app purchases. Okay? So we're going to go on a little bit further here.
I want to add to that. The thing is with in-app purchases is that it doesn't, but I want to add to that. Yes, it's vague and in a corner, but a normie parent is not going to know what that means. They might have an idea, but they're not going to know exactly what that means. What do I mean by that? Because that whole in-app purchases is extremely vague. That could be skins. That could be buying gear, buying like Ubisoft uses time saver mechanics. That could be additional weapons. That could be anything. Hell, the only thing I expect a normie to know, in fact, I bet if I went to my dad and I said, hey dad, do you know what in-app purchases are in video games? More than likely, my dad is going to tell me, is that one of those DLCs like when you got Dawn Guard or the Dragonborn DLC for Skyrim? I remember when you were telling me that. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that a normie parent is going to see in-app purchases and either probably think, oh, it's probably just some kind of like cosmetic or downloadable or DLC for the game, but they're not going to know that it's actually the most predatory type of in-app purchases, which is under the FTC's legal term, a loot box, which in the Hoyosphere we know is a wish.
Well, here's the big issue on what the FTC is cracking down on and what the company is trying to hide from the gaze of your parents, okay? So this is very important to show. I'm going to show you this again. This is the other download on emulator. Very simple, very clean. Genshin Impact. You scroll around, you see some text. It says go around Teva. Nowhere here does it say gacha gambling whatsoever. Same screenshots as before. That's the other one. So we have the PC and we have the emulator shown. What it shows you, a very small thing of in-app purchase, does not tell you the extent, and in-app purchase is pretty much case in point for every single mobile game on the market. Okay? Now, let me show you where the problem starts. Are you still here?
Yeah.
We're at the 8-minute mark, and I really hope that you're paying attention. And if you're gonna leave a comment, wait till after this part. This is the big issue. Ready for this? And I had to go on my phone and screenshot this to actually show you guys what's going on here. Okay, so this is Genshin Impact on the phone. Part of my aspect ratio. I'm using a Galaxy Fold 5. Great phone for porn. Install 3.2. About this game: top 5 grossing and adventure, role-playing, action role-playing game, isekai, explorer, single-player, stylized. Yep. Nowhere does it say gacha. Are you noticing a trend? We're gonna go even further. We then have the most frequently asked questions. How does the energy system work in Genshin Impact? How does the gacha system work in Genshin Impact? Is Genshin Impact an online-only game, or can it be played offline?
Okay.
Now, this is the part where their kids tell their parents it has gacha. Also, I rated it 5 stars because I'm a good dude. All right, is what it is. I'll update that later. Sorry, guys. Very embarrassing. Okay. So, how does the gacha
2020
system work in Genshin Impact? And here's the part where you guys are going to understand why it's a problem. Okay. This is their answer to how does the gacha system work in Genshin Impact. You ready for this? I'm going to read you their answer. In Genshin Impact, players can obtain new characters and weapons through a gacha system by spending Primo Gems. Players can pull wishes using fate items, which are attained through Primo Gems or in-game activities. The gacha system rewards players with random items, with higher rarity characters and items being more difficult to obtain.
Notice there that they said players can pull wishes using fate items, which are attained through Primo Gems or in-game activity. They do not state that you can also get Primo Gems by buying the in-game premium currency to transform it into Primo Gems. But yeah, they literally go out of their way to try to say this is how you get this stuff, but avoid saying that you can use actual money.
Are you noticing what they're not telling you?
Exactly.
Because this is what the AI has created to post on this for the frequently asked questions. Are you noticing what this is not telling you on their own mobile page? Are you noticing? Where, oh, where is money? Where, oh, where is in cash purchases? Now, once again, this is created by AI. However, AI draws from pre-existing answers on the internet, from usually official sources when it's being put on an official page. So my question is, why? Why, oh, why are they not listing it as a gacha? Why, oh, why are they not telling you about the pity system? Why?
And one more thing to add. If this is an actual concerned parent who just got informed by the gacha system, this is a concerned parent that's like, oh, I heard about this gacha system that's actually in this game. I want to make sure I know what this is. So again, this is probably more than likely, but we don't technically know, a concerned parent who is just trying to understand what the gacha system is in Genshin Impact, and they get this answer, which is saying Primo Gens or in-game activities. This would be them being like, oh, all right, so if this is currency you get from in-game, then okay, that's cool. I don't have to worry about anything because it's all in-game. This then defeats, if this is a concerned parent, the whole, well, it's the parent's fault, because this would potentially be a concerned parent who is looking into this to find out if they should be concerned or not.
Why are they not telling you about the wishes? Why are they not telling you how to pull new characters? Why are they saying, oh yeah, you can get them with Primo Gems? The reason why they're not doing this is because they are trying to use manipulative language in order to trick people to spend money and get into a game where you can spend lots of money without knowing what there is to do. If I was an adult and I read that and I said, oh, you just get Primo Gems by doing in-game activities. Oh, so it's free to play. Easy, just play the game and you get whatever you want. I give my kid my iPad. I let the kid play on my TV. And guys, what do iPads have? What do TVs have? They have your parents' information already linked up. All you have to do is press purchase and it will auto go, okay? I don't know why people are feigning ignorance of this. It's very simple. You just press play. If it's already hooked up on that device, bada bing, bada boom, you're out $100. Now,
and here's the thing, this is where it's kind of a double-edged sword. I think there are things that a parent can do to make sure that stuff potentially doesn't happen by implementing parental controls on your accounts for your iPad or your PlayStation or what have you. 100% that's true. If it were me, I would set up a whole different account on my PlayStation or iPad for my kids so my payment information would not be on their accounts to avoid that problem. 100%. There are things that parents can do to potentially lower the risk of this happening. But at the same time, if a parent who is just a little bit more relaxed or just not in the know about how these things work just says, here's the controller, have at it, and then the kid sees these in-app purchases and just goes ahead and gets them thinking that, oh, they're not actually burning money, then like Tectone just said, they're out $100 because they didn't think there was anything or any risk involved letting their kid play on their accounts on Genshin Impact.
Let me ask you a question. Why in the fuck, and obviously this is not an issue just for Genshin Impact, why would you not want companies to use more transparent language to prevent these situations from occurring?
Even though there are things and practices or safety measures that parents could and should use to lower the risk of these things happening, at the end of the day, the company as we just seen from Tectone showing us, the company actively is trying to implement these predatory methods, these predatory practices, and even goes as far as to abuse these predatory tactics to get people, whether they be kids or adults, and in this case we're talking about kids, into these games. Because like we showed, if that was a concerned parent, that response, even if it was AI generated, just basically said, yeah, it's all good, man, it's all from in-game activities.
Why does it matter? Legitimately, just be transparent. This is what they do. Rather than saying you just spent $20 on a 10 pole, they say you spent 2,500 primo gems. Rather than say, oh, spend more money on our game to get currency, they say, oh, make sure to top up, avoiding any language whatsoever of making the consumer aware of what they're fucking doing. This is a massive win for all gacha gaming companies, because the more transparent these games are with their consumers, regardless of if they're a child or not, the better.
Exactly.
Because it can prevent catastrophes before they occur. Now, here's the other thing. You guys have to understand, I am a firm believer that nobody below 18 should play a gacha game. Nope.
I agree.
Don't think they need to. And to be honest, I think children playing gacha games make gacha games worse as a whole.
I agree.
Because if these gacha games were 18 and up, we'd actually be having sex with these fucking characters, and we would be seeing them get their fucking...
So what he's trying to say is that if these gacha games are less predatory, that's all the better for us, the consumer. That's the whole point to all of this. That is literally, even going back to my power creep discussion with Mr. Pokey, if these games can be less predatory and more balanced and more fair, then we, the consumer, are better for it. We, the players, are better for it, because since they now don't have to rest on their laurels and not have to just blatantly use these predatory practices to be able to try to reach the bottom line on what they want on these financial reports, now they have to try. Now they have to want to create a good product, because that's then how they're going to have to be able to reach that bottom line. But I'm sure you guys would be very polarized on probably this point, but let me explain. If these games did tone their quality of content for a mature audience, yes, probably some of this content would get a little bit more Coomer or Goonerish. Let's be real here. That would probably happen. But here is where I also would say it would be better for it. Because just because they're using more Goonerish or Coomerish content, that's not really the winning thing here, even though that would be quite appealing. The actual thing I would be excited for, or more excited for, is the more mature storytelling. Because right now, look at Genshin Impact. The most serious story, the most intense story they ever told was the Act 2 of Natlan. And that wasn't even really that intense. But the thing is that overall Genshin's story is so brain dead. It has good elements, that's not what I'm arguing. It has good elements, good lore. But its story is told so brain dead that it's practically for a child. I mean, you got Paimon there regurgitating the story to you every 5 seconds because she's expecting a child playing the game, and she wants to make sure that kid that's playing the game understood the story. But that would be the bigger win, is that if these games are rated for mature, the stories would have a more serious tone to appeal to a more mature audience.
Fucking titties out. But because they want to appeal to the largest general demographic, we're stuck with these half-assed, kinda lewd, dancing around sex topic characters, and we all know we're all jerking off these fucking characters. Okay? Now, that is my opinion. Transparency is always a great thing, and no, it's not entirely on the fucking parents. It's just simply not, okay? It's 80% on the company, because they know what they're doing. It's 15% on the fucking parents. Because yes, parents should be responsible for what their child is doing. However, it's pretty fucking deceptive language, don't you agree? And it's 5% on the kid's fault because, well, they're just a kid. They're just fucking stupid. They don't know what they're doing. And this is another scenario. A lot of content creators weighed in on this shit, and I would like to just give my opinion on their opinion. So let's just go ahead and talk. So Gacha Smack said, here's my take. The average 35 plus parent in the world has no earthly clue what a gacha game even is. Why do you think that's one of the most Googled questions? Absolutely true. The game also hides their gacha in their descriptions, and they also get you to not say that it's a gacha during the sponsored segments on YouTube and Twitch. Yes, they do. They don't even disclose a single loot box in any of their advertising, nor do they mention the price points. Very true, like I've said before. The typical mom or dad that's going to examine that it's a 12-plus-year-old rating game, examine the description as well as the cartoon visuals and go, this seems fine. Absolutely true. Gacha Smack has a great point because he is a fucking parent, and he's another person who hates corporations just as much as I do. Love this guy. This is deceptive and intentional by the companies because they know parents have no earthly fucking clue about mobile gaming because most parents don't play games, period, or understand the industry the way we do. The kids get addicted, runs to the price points, and that's how it unfolds, and it's absolutely due to a lack of supervision, 100%. Regardless, these companies need to disclose in their marketing and promotion that they are in fact gacha games that contain gambling elements, which falls in lack of regulation from the government. Absolutely true. Parents would see it in the description and say, no shot my kid is playing this. Long overdue regulation needed.
Absolutely. Because a normie family, more than likely, is too busy to understand how the gaming world works. A normie family is more than likely unaware that their kids are playing a predatory game because they have been trained to only look at the ESRB rating. They have no clue how widespread of a meaning in-game purchases is. And they are more than likely not going to read that tag. And if they do, like I said, it's so vague that it can mean anything. At best, a normie parent will think that's just meaning DLC.
Now let's see what Mr. Pokey says. To the people that are shitting on Doro, it's not a matter of whether the parents are aware that these are gacha games, but how the hell are your kids getting access to your credit cards? Mr. Pokey, these parents have an iPad or a TV that are a shared system. Their information is auto-saved. They press one button and bada bing, bada boom, you have spent their money. It's the same thing on PC. You just say, PayPal, use this one, except the information is auto-saved. This is a out-of-touch take. There are some people who don't have the luxury of having multiple systems where they have to share everything they have. So their parents' info are already saved on there.
I can give you another example from my personal experience. Me and my brothers, because I have two younger brothers, we all shared for the longest time every game system we had. The Super Nintendo, to the Nintendo 64, to the Nintendo GameCube, we eventually got a Xbox 360. For a very long time, me and my brothers shared that Xbox 360. I remember when we did have that Xbox 360, we would pass that 360 back and forth between our own rooms. My brothers would eventually come into my room or knock on my door and say, hey, can I borrow the 360 for a bit just to play it? And the thing is that we were cool with it because we knew it was our only system, so we just shared it. And that's the thing. During my time, in-app purchases weren't a big deal. Like I said, though, only as far as it would ever go was DLCs. It would never expand past that. It wasn't really till the 2010s. Yeah, the 2010s where monetization in games started becoming more broader. But if I were to take a normie family in today's times that are doing the same thing that me and my brothers did back in the day with sharing a console, like today, sharing a PS5, and they're playing on the same accounts, and that account happens to have their parents' payment information for, like, maybe when they were wanting to download a game on their PS5, then boom, a kid just probably spent their money, their parents' money, on an in-app purchase without understanding or without even knowing, because like what Tectone just showed, these companies will go out of the way to dance around their monetary practices, their predatory monetary practices, so that they don't catch on to it.
Some have Face ID, some have thumbprint, but a lot don't. Mine do not. I just go, yep, there it is. Okay, now obviously, two-factor authentication should be enabled, but sometimes you just forget to do that. The information is auto-saved, and I don't know how this guy doesn't know this. If my mom found out I swiped her card when I'm 12, I'd be beaten beyond recognition. Absolutely. But getting beaten as a child does not prevent the child from fucking up. Now, they might not do it again, but rather than just say, oh yeah, if your kids do that, just beat them, lol. How about we just put in precautionary measures to where that kid can't make that mistake to begin with? Rather than, like, for real, advocate for beating your children all you want. That's not really my battle. Now, personally, I don't think that's a good thing.
Same.
It might farm a couple based in chat if you say it, but I'd rather prevent the problem rather than have a kid get beaten by their parents.
Exactly. 100%. That just goes back to my initial and original point.
As a kid who was beat quite a lot. This is almost like the power creep topic. It's only the company's fault, never their consumers. Well, it's both.
Yes.
And if someone says the consumer should take responsibility, internet gets angry.
Like Tectone just said, it is both. Parents can do something, but the thing is that they can't stop a company from doing what is the overall problem here, which is taking advantage, preying on their consumers, their players with predatory practices and actively abusing that. It is both, but we are trying to fix the overall problem.
We're saying it's both. How does this have 4,000 likes? I mean, I'll be real, and I want to make this abundantly clear. Mr. Pokey, you need to drop this viewpoint, because if it were actually the way that you said it was, your post would not have 4,000 likes right now. You have this massive chip on your shoulder because you had one retard take. You had one retard take that for some reason you can't move on from. That's not how it is. You fucked up. You said some dumb shit. Just own it and move on. It's that easy. This disillusionment of reality that you have needs to stop because it's making you look like a goober. Because when you're on the side of Doro, you're probably saying something pretty fucking dumb. Not gonna lie, but Mr. Pokey's been on he's been on a tangent lately, man. It's just sad. Gacha games are deceptive towards kids, but I don't care, Lamau. Screw them kids, don't even know them. Okay, you're sounding like Regslant more and more each day. Let's keep going. Google Play gift cards, PayPal gift cards, you can buy that shit. You don't need to have a credit card, and you can buy that without parents knowing or using the money. It's such a retarded take. Oh, I absolutely agree. All we want is transparency from our companies to protect our consumers. That's it.
Exactly.
And if you're against that, you're just dumb. And I mean this genuinely.
Because that's one step in the right direction.
If you don't want our companies to be transparent and have consumer protection, you are the fucking enemy. You are the fucking problem. You're just dumb. Straight up. You are just dumb. I am willing to get in a call with anybody about this. But the fact that I see so many people defending this, it's a shame. It's parents' jobs to parent kids, absolutely. But there's no justifiable reason for Gacha to exist in the first place other than this guy's gambling as a fun game, absolutely.
Yep.
We should not normalize gambling up to $300 every 3 weeks for game content, especially not to children. Gacha is predatory, absolutely.
100%.
Now, just in case Mr. Pokey does see this, Mr. Pokey, I want to say that your company shill take, as well as Doro's company shill take, are the most liked responses. There is no conspiracy against y'all. The machine is working for y'all. Everyone speaking out against this has far less engagement. There is none of this, oh, just say company bad and you win. That's not how it goes. Both y'all gave an incredible anti-consumerist take, and you got the most likes by far. Please, just take a minute to realize how backwards this logic is.
Because this is specifically about Genshin Impact, but when you're talking about the Genshin players, they are very, very Hoyo apologist. There is a reason when anyone talks about the Genshin player base, we always bring up toxic positivity, because they will do whatever they can to apologize and defend Hoyo and the Genshin devs' way of doing their business. But this, they're going to pick that up and they're going to like it and like it and like it because they want to defend and say that Genshin and Hoyoverse can do no wrong. Because, oh, if we end up upsetting the Genshin devs, if we end up upsetting Hoyoverse, they might reduce the amount of primo gems we get each update and fuck us. We gotta make sure we've gotta make sure Genshin, Hoyoverse, and Dawe are as happy as possible so we can maybe get some more rewards for the next character that comes out in the next update for Genshin. That's how that works.
And hold these companies accountable. It's good that these companies should be more transparent with their consumers, and it's good that consumers will have an extra layer of protection before something bad happens to them. Hopefully that makes sense. Nobody really else of merit said anything or got any engagement whatsoever. I think Mr. Pokey has a chip on his shoulder, and he's lashing out because he's hurt, because that take really fucked with his mental, and I think that's just it. I would love to talk about it anytime, but yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty cut and dry. And also, Doro, what the fuck are you doing? Calm the fuck on. Once again, I have to be the voice of fucking reason. If you disagree, please leave a comment. Let me know how you feel. But it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty cut and dry. It's really not that hard to understand, in my opinion. And Mr. Pokey got upset at this when this is quite literally exactly what he did. All right, well, it's disappointing. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.
I can't believe that we started this off talking about alluding to Mr. Pokey, and then we end up jumping back to Mr. Pokey. I honestly don't know what's going on with Mr. Pokey. I literally do not. It's just, why? And the thing is, I really do like Mr. Pokey. I overall think Mr. Pokey is a genuinely great dude. And I think he has a really good mind for strategy games. But why? Why do you keep on going down the route of defending these games? Why do you always direct your criticism? And this is the thing. This is what I really, really don't get. Is why does Mr. Pokey always direct most of his criticism toward the players and then not direct his criticism, or at least a good chunk of his criticism, toward the company? Even when he was doing his part 2 video of Power Creep, he said, oh, this is where I'm going to go in on the company. And I watched that whole video, and he never realistically went into the company. All he ever said was, yes, the company is predatory. Yeah, that's how it is. It doesn't have to be that way, though. The more we call out these companies for their predatory practices, and the whole FTC thing is a step in that direction of saying, hey, you guys are getting away with these predatory practices for far too long, and you're going as far as to be egregious and abusive with these practices. We want to basically enforce that you guys be more transparent about this, so this can prevent kids from falling into being their prey. If these games, these devs are forced to create a more balanced and fair game, that would mean they have to try. That would mean that they have to give a shit about giving us a better product. And at the end of the day, we, the players, we, the consumers, we, the community, receive a better product. And if we, the players, the community, the consumers, receive a genuinely good product, we will be more open to the idea of making in-game purchases that feel fair. For example, I am totally open to buying cosmetics, because if I am enjoying the game, I want to make sure my characters look cool, or I'm using cool looking gear while playing the game. That's why a lot of these live service games go down the route of cosmetics, because they make a good game. Consumers are more open to buying cosmetics because they want to play the game looking cool. Go down to the comments down below. Let me know what you guys are thinking when it comes to the Genshin Impact FTC settlement. Are you guys on the same page with me and Tectone when it comes to how these gacha games should definitely be cracked down on when it comes to their predatory practices? I want to hear your guys' take. So with that being said, definitely head down in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Hit that like and subscribe button. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.